The Quantum Group USA, LLC in California, DBA Quantum Distribution and Insurance Services. Advisors are responsible for following all insurance, DOL, FINRA, SEC, broker-dealer, and compliance officer approval requirements prior to distributing this information to clients. Welcome back. This is the Quantum Client Acquisition Podcast, where we talk to partners about all things client acquisition and lead generation. And today we have the pleasure of Jeremy Haug. He is the president and founder of Revenx. Revenx specializes in setting appointments in the public, employee, and federal space. Now, Jeremy is on a cruise ship around Aruba somewhere. As you can tell, it's kind of windy out there. He looks happy, though. He's not inebriated as much as I would expect on a cruise ship. But anyway, Jeremy, first I just want to talk about your journey to Revenx. You were doing a lot of things prior to this, but why did you start this company? How did you get here?
Yeah, I fell in love with marketing, I would say probably about 10 years ago. And I tried out various different things. I've been a teacher. I worked on the road selling skincare cream. I was in the consulting space for a little bit. Bookkeeping. So then I fell into marketing. And really, it was Facebook ads, email blasts, all that kind of stuff. I had gotten the, I was an employee somewhere, and somebody's like, yeah, you can mess with those Facebook ads, but postcards are the way to do, marketing. And I was like, sure. And I started crushing it on Facebook ads when I think really anybody who just tried Facebook ads was crushing it on Facebook ads. It was just the beginning days. It was the heyday. And, the whole company shifted over to Facebook ads. And then I started my own business about 5 years ago now, and, again, kind of like, all right, I'm going to help some people over here, I'm going to help some people over there, and then I fell into this public employee space. We were just getting a lot of results there, a lot of wins, a lot of successes, and I was like, okay, I'm going to kill off everything else, I'm going to go all in on one thing, one niche. I'm sure you've heard it, a million times, riches are in the niches, so it's one of those things where you go, okay, we are going to lock in, we're going to become the best at one thing, public employee appointments. We're going to get the appointments to show up. We're going to just be the number one expert at that. We're going to help agents succeed in that. We're not doing final expense. We're not doing, those kinds of products, right? Like we're helping people who are like, good, you know how to work with people who can do IULs, annuities. If you're doing assets under management, great. But we are going to be the one that gets you connected with public employees and gets people who have questions about their benefits and their retirement and things like that.
One of the reasons we have these conversations is because, when advisors come to us, and I talk to them at length all day long about all kinds of strategies. We do radio shows, we do live event marketing, we have a number of lead partners. One of the things that sets you apart in this space is the fact that you concentrate on public employees, number one. You're the only company I've ever seen that actually makes sure that you replace no-shows, that people who, have appointments, the vast majority of them hopefully will show up, but if somebody doesn't show up, as long as the advisor gives it a shot, if they don't get in contact, you'll go ahead and replace that for free, which, again, I've never heard of that. That's something unusual. What else do you think really makes you different? Because you're not the only company that's doing this.
1,000%. I think, and the no-shows, the reason, I'll go a little bit why we do that is, I've seen, like you said, right, like other companies out there, they book appointments, and I think aligned incentives matter. So meaning, if I get paid just for booking an appointment, then I am going to optimize for booked appointments. If I am incentivized to have kept appointments, meaning appointments that actually show, well, then I'm going to take different actions, right? Like I'm going to reconfirm appointments. I'm going to hire somebody internally whose only job it is to call all the upcoming appointments, reconfirm them, or reschedule them, or cancel them if need be, because I would rather have a kept appointment than a no-show appointment. And I think the other thing that we do that probably sets us apart is we go a little bit beyond just the first kept appointment, right? We have a conversation of like, good, you're only selling annuities, and you're like, great, you don't know what to do with the younger appointments. Great, you talk about IULs, right? Talk about debt solutions. Talk about, okay, great. Are you securities licensed? Can you do assets under management? So we look at more than just, what, like we're just an appointment. The other thing that we do is we have people who are super successful on our program, and every 2 weeks we host them, and any of our clients can just ask questions, right? It's like, hey, you're doing well with the federal program. What's working for you? You're doing well with the state and university. Great. Go talk to one of our successful agents, right? Like, we're not an IMO. They're not our agents, right? But they're on our program. They've been on our program for years. And we have a library of recorded calls and training materials and things like that, right? So if you're in the federal space, we have a federal presentation. If you're in the state space, we have links to assets in that space. If you have questions along those lines, we either have some answers or we connect you to agents who have answers on that side of things. So I think fundamentally it's just a different set of incentives where, if you get a lead vendor, their incentive is to get you leads. Now, hopefully their incentive is to keep having you buy leads forever, right? Of course, sure, right? But, it's like, I feel like there's layers, right? There's lead vendors, then there's appointment vendors, then there's appointment replacements, right? So it's like, if I'm replacing no-shows, okay, great. It's like, okay, maybe it's leads, booked appointments, kept appointments. So I think, as far as I can tell, I mean, there's people who do commission splits, and I've looked at that. And the problem with commission splits, and this is just my opinion, having tried it 3 times and succeeded once, it was okay, is either the agent feels like they take on no risk, we take on all the risk, but then if they close a bunch, then they feel annoyed because they could have just paid the flat fee, right? So in that sense, they feel like they lost out, right? Like they could have just paid the flat fee. It's like, oh God, now I could have just paid $1,500 for appointments, but now I've got to pay, $3,000 in commission splits. Well, that's kind of a bummer in a sense. So that's where we've thought about going down that road, but we're not. We're just like, cool. We are, it's like if we have agents, they make 10 to 1 ROI. We have agents who make 2 to 1 ROI. We have agents who make 15 to 1 ROI, right? So it's like, okay, great. Our job is we're going to deliver the best appointments possible. We're going to help you build your agency with a steady flow of appointments. Now we're going to try and help you a little bit with the closing, like with just nurturing the conversation, setting you up for success. But, it's still on the agent to close deals, to have the right conversations and have the right products.
And this particular group of prospects, public employees, federal employees, they're unique in many ways. Obviously, this is a very specific group. A lot of times, would you agree, they're not working with anybody, especially if they're teachers or feds. They're probably just contributing to accounts, and these are people who really do need your help. And when you do help them, they're also a good source of referrals, undoubtedly, right?
1,000%. I think, I guess going into the public employee space, I think most of them have dedicated retirement accounts, right? Like they are supporting their retirement. They are putting money in there, and they're supported by either the federal government or by state government programs. So they have a more certain retirement plan, and they have assets. And like you said, they have, to a certain extent, still a more sense of, I guess I would say, authority, right? Like a trust in authority, a trust in, hey, somebody is taking care of me. Somebody's going to make sure when I retire, I'm going to be okay. Now, that's not really true, right? Because the federal government does not, doesn't explain everything. And that's where the opportunity is for an agent or advisor. But there is a factor there of they are federal employees, they have a system, and it's so complicated to them because they don't understand it. So that's where you come in, you're the expert, and that's the other benefit of this is you're in a niche, right? Like if you're like, hey, I help everybody, I've had that experience. It's like, you're okay. But if I, just like me, I'm like, we are the experts, federal, public employees for insurance agents and financial advisors who want to sell annuities and IULs. It's like, okay, great. Like, you kind of know that we're the experts at this one thing. If you're the expert on federal employees, then that sets you apart. Also, and I'll kind of differentiate Fed versus teachers. The upside on Fed is you got to learn one system for the whole country, right? So if you're licensed in multiple states, you learn the system once, then you're set to go. State and university, I think there's over 1,000 different variations of the system, nation of their, it's like you got each of the states, you got each of the counties, you got sometimes cities have different systems, different schools, districts have different systems. The upside on that is if you're become the expert on many of these systems, and now you're a little bit less, there's less competition in a sense, right? So if you're like, hey, I just want Florida state employees or Florida University, yeah, you're going to probably have to learn 10 systems, 20 systems, and to get the majority, the big ones. But now you're an expert and there's less people competing with you. Downside is you got to learn 10, 20 systems sometimes to really learn it, right? So, it really just depends on where somebody's at and, what timeline they're willing to take.
The success of any lead program really depends on the advisor or the agent. I think that's probably 80 to 90% of it, because you said, we have, agents or advisors very successful in a program. We have somebody in the same program essentially getting the same appointments and leads and not having that kind of success. And it's really about process, taking advantage of the best practices and any kind of training that's involved. But when you talk about, advisors always say, well, what's the average cost? What kind of return on my investment can I expect? What is the average asset level and things like that? I know that those are very hard questions to answer, because of so many people that you're working with, but that is a question that I always get. Do you have any data that kind of reflects some of that information?
Yeah, so we have some, we've done, last year we did about, I think 40,000 appointments last year. And across that, we've seen over 50%, it's about 51 to 53% of the appointments are 50 on up. So they're at least 50 years old or older. And then the rest are under that age, varying of that degree. In regards to ROI, here's how we generally position it, or how we talk to agents about it, is we're really looking at least 3 months. We never recommend working for 1 month with any sort of marketing. I think at the end of the day, you're going to have to get your at-bats at it. You're going to have to get into the groove of it. Doesn't matter how good you are. Even if you've been doing federal appointments, I still recommend do 3 months, because you're building pipeline and you're having conversations, and you're probably not going to close anything in the first 30 days anyways. Now, the reality is if in 90 days you've had 60 conversations with actual prospects, half of them under the age of 50, half of them over the age of 50, the way we look at it is that investment is, depends on what program you're doing, how long you're committing, things like that. But it's between 5,000 to 7,500 for 3 months, again, varying factors. But let's go on kind of the mid to high end. Let's say it's $7,000 that you're spending in 3 months. And the way I look at that is cool, can you close one $125,000 rollover out of 60 appointments, half of them being 50 on up? Now, I don't have the exact numbers of 59 on up, but you're also talking about, cool, what about a spouse? What about a referral? Anyway, so we can talk about referrals in a second. But so you've got 60 at-bats. I mean, I have an agent. So this is where it varies by the agent skill set and what the belief is. So I've had conversations with agents. They're like, I don't really believe in annuities. And I'm like, okay. They're like, yeah, I just like to do assets under management. I'm like, okay, well, that means you're going to make your money over the next 10 years. And he's like, yeah, I know that, right? So they're looking to break even year one and kind of make money for the next 10 years, right? I'm like, okay. And I've got guys that are like, I love annuities, I hate IULs. And I'm like, okay. And I have a guy, he's wrote $4 million worth of IUL premiums last year and made $800,000 in commissions off of our appointments, only selling IULs. So I'm like, okay, well, it really depends on what products are you willing to sell, what products do you believe in, what products, are you able to sell? But at the end of the day, what I'm looking at is if you can break even in the first 3 months and you have pipeline in, that's a win. Because then at month 6, you should be making a 5-to-1 ROI off of our appointments. Now, that is the qualifier at the front end is, have you closed annuities? Have you closed IULs? Are you potentially securities licensed? That's not a requirement. Really, it's, have you closed a couple $100,000 rollovers? Do you feel comfortable having that conversation? And have you done that over the phone or over a video call or something like this? Or do you feel like you have to do it in person? Because this is fully remote. I mean, the guy I just mentioned doing only IULs, he is a character, but he does nothing on camera. He closed all of these cases purely over the phone. He's like, he just doesn't want to get into the Zoom calls, and he closes all the deals over the phone. So I'm like, great, kudos to you, man. You know, it's like, obviously you're able to build a relationship and the trust by just doing that. And then, you know, and then I have another agent that I figure I mentioned on the referrals. He is in the federal space, and he got a whole group of friends. And there was like one person, then another person. I think at the end of it, he has 9 friends that all cruise together. They're all federal employees, and they each had, I think, like $1 million in retirement assets. So, and one broke friend. So he's like, okay, fine, I'll talk to the broke friend as well, right? Just helpful financial advice. But I think between all of them, I think it was like $8 or $9 million in assets under management, and then obviously a significant chunk in annuity rollovers as well. So, but it was all off of one conversation where the person was like, wow, I really appreciate all the advice and things like that. And then he did a presentation, and then he took it from there and built, you know, a huge, I mean, I think it took him about a year to get all the friends, get all the money, get everything under management, to do some rollovers. But I mean, I think that relationship, that was one relationship, right? Where that came from us. The other 8 didn't come from us. And, you know, so it's an at-bat scenario. It's a number scenario where, you know, what can you close? I think that sort of gives you an idea. I do think 6 months is what you're looking for from an ROI perspective. But if in the first 3 months you're not having good conversations, or you're not seeing the pipeline, well, okay, then it's probably not going to work out.
Right. I mean, it's not a fit. I think, and that's something that we talk about to advisors all the time and agents, is that I think one of the there's a couple of ways where they struggle with lead or appointment programs. One, they have too many running, and none of them are really very efficient because they all have different processes sometimes, and they're spread a little bit too thin. Or they have one, and they, you know, after 60 days, they're not closing anything, but they're having conversations, and they jump and they try something else when they really haven't gone through the learning curve. Because, as you said, you know, hopefully within 60 days, you kind of get a pretty good idea who you're talking to, what the common themes are that you're, you know, discussing, how many are qualified for you, how many people that it might take a little bit longer. And if you don't necessarily convert somebody quickly, this is a lead that you've paid for. This is somebody that you're going to continue to be in touch with. And I know in this case too, one of the things you say, this works virtually. Most of the time you have to have licenses in a number of states to make sure that you get the kind of lead flow that you expect. Is that pretty accurate?
It depends on the state you're in. I mean, I think, I think if you're in California, you're fine. Texas, Florida, Virginia. I mean, I still recommend a couple of states, but, you know, if you're in one of the big states, you're fine. I mean, I had an agent who's like, I think it was like Idaho or something like that, and I'm like, okay, there's just not that many federal employees there, so we're going to need some additional states. So really, that would be the variant. But if you're in a state with a big population, then usually you're good on that side of things. But yeah, a couple states is definitely a plus on that side of things.
All right, and finally, I want to ask you, because you are one of our premier partners as far as lead generation, appointment setting. I think we have an offer for advisors who go through you through Quantum. What kind of extra benefit do they get when they go through Quantum?
When you come in as a Quantum agent, you get extra appointments. As a result of that, you just got to let our team know that Quantum referred you. I think we'll even set up a special link. That way, we know Quantum referred you over. Just definitely mention that. And as we continue to grow, the benefits will just continue to grow for all of the Quantum agents that we're working with.
Perfect. And I'll say this too, we're a little bit different than other companies in this space. We will be a liaison with you, so we're always kind of the ghost in the machine, helping you, making sure that you're asking the right questions, and then I guess actually aggressively recommending that you take advantage of any training or support that you get from Revenx. Jeremy, Just so everybody knows, Jeremy is talking to us from a cruise ship in around Aruba somewhere, which is why it's windy. I don't know why there's sirens there. That might be Minneapolis. But what I'm hearing right now is that you're on a cruise ship. Life is good. You're out there with your family. We appreciate your time. And we're looking forward to working with you and helping advisors get in front of qualified prospects with you. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate you hosting this, and I love working with your agents. They're some of the best agents we work with, and I think you guys have, obviously great products. So I think that's probably part of the reason they do so well on this. So looking forward to continuing to work with you, with your agents, and continuing to flourish.
All right, he is Jeremy Haug, the president and founder of Revenx. Thanks for watching. This is the Quantum Client Acquisition Podcast. See you next time.